Captain Kim pressed his palm against the observation deck's viewport, watching the alien ships limp toward Earth Station Alpha. Their hulls bore scorch marks and tears that told a story of desperate flight. Behind him, Admiral Park studied the tactical display, his weathered face grim in the blue light. 7 civilizations, Park muttered. 7 entire civilizations consumed in less than 2 standard years. The station's communication array crackled to life. Ambassador Lee straightened his uniform and moved to the central platform. He had served as humanity's primary alien contact for 20 years, but these weren't the proud, dismissive delegates he was used to seeing. Admiral, they're requesting immediate docking permission, reported Lieutenant SCO from her station. Priority 1 emergency protocols. Park nodded. Granted, all of it. They can have whatever they need. Through the reinforced glass, Kim watched as the alien vessels struggled into the docking bays. The Helix Federation's diplomatic ship, once pristine in its crystalline beauty, now looked like broken glass. The Viridian Coalition's organic bioship pulsed weakly, its living hull marked with wounds that would never heal. Sir, communications. Officer Bay spoke up, his voice carefully neutral. We're receiving multiple distress broadcasts, not from these ships, from systems beyond the rim. The holographic display updated, showing a map of known space. Red markers blinked across dozens of sectors, each one marking a civilization that had gone silent. The pattern was clear, methodical, approaching like a slow tide. The Devourers, Lee said quietly. They're calling them the Devourers. An aide approached Park with a digital tablet. Intelligence report from our deep space arrays, sir. The mechanical entities first appeared in the outer spiral 18 months ago. They consume everything: ships, stations, worlds, even the stars themselves. Kim turned from the viewport. And they're coming this way. The main doors to the observation deck slid open. A group of aliens entered, escorted by human security. Kim had seen representatives from dozens of species over the years, but these looked broken. Their usual composure was gone, replaced by something he had never seen in alien delegates before: genuine fear. The Helix representative, a being of shifting light and energy, spoke first. The universal translator picked up their words, but the emotion underneath needed no translation. People of Earth, we have come to ask for something we thought we would never need. The alien's form flickered with what Kim recognized as exhaustion. We have avoided your species, called you violent, dangerous, kept you isolated behind quantum barriers. A Viridian delegate stepped forward, their plant-like features drooping. Your reputation for war, for destruction, has made you outcasts among the civilized worlds. Park's expression didn't change. And now? Now we need that violence, the Helix representative admitted. Our ships cannot stop them. Our weapons barely slow them down. The Devourers take everything, our technology, our people, our very essence, and use it to become stronger. Lee moved to the central console, pulling up records from humanity's isolated observation posts. We know. We've been watching them since they first appeared. The aliens exchanged glances of surprise. The Viridian spoke again. You've been monitoring them? Of course, Kim said simply. You keep us locked away, but you don't guard your communications very well. We've seen what these things do. Admiral Park activated another display. 300 years ago, an automated probe detected something similar in the Kepler 442 system. When our ships arrived, they found nothing. No planets, no star, just empty space and strange energy readings. That's impossible, the Helix delegate flickered rapidly. Stars don't just disappear. These ones do, Park replied. We've been preparing ever since, quietly, because we knew someday something like this would come. Officer CO looked up from her station. Sir, we're receiving additional requests for asylum. 17 more species have sent envoys. They're all asking the same thing. The room fell silent. Outside the viewport, more alien ships appeared, each one bearing refugees from the advancing threat. The Galactic Council's most powerful civilizations, reduced to begging for help from the species they had rejected. "What do you want from us?" Lee asked finally. The Helix representative's form solidified, becoming more human-like as if trying to connect on a physical level. "Your help, your methods. We know what you're capable of. The wars you've fought among yourselves, the weapons you've built." "You're asking us to fight," Kim observed. "We're asking you to win," the Viridian corrected desperately. "Because if you don't, everything ends. Every world, every civilization, every thought and dream will be consumed and remade into something else." Park stood silent for a long moment, considering. Then he moved to his command station and activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All stations, this is Admiral Park. Proceed to Condition Yellow. Begin fleet mobilization protocols." He turned back to the alien delegates, his smile cold as starlight itself. "We've been waiting for you to ask." The Galactic Council chambers had never seen anything like this. Ambassador Han walked through the ancient halls, her boots clicking on crystal floors that had witnessed countless diplomatic negotiations. But today was different. Today humanity was not being judged. They were setting terms. Captain Shin followed close behind, his uniform heavy with the weight of classified compartments. Each one contained data chips holding information that would shock the assembled aliens. Lieutenant Park brought up the rear, carrying a portable holoprojector that would change everything. "They don't look happy," Shin murmured, observing the alien delegates gathered in the main chamber. "They never do," Han replied. "But today, they're scared. That makes them dangerous." The Helix Federation's envoy, a being of shifting light called Kez, approached first. Their form flickered with anxiety. "Ambassador Han, the Council is concerned about humanity's demands." "We haven't made any demands yet," Han said calmly. "Your message was clear enough," replied Voss, the Viridian representative. Their bark-like skin showed stress patterns. "You want complete military command, absolute authority over all defensive forces." "That's correct," Han confirmed as they reached the central platform. The chamber fell silent. Dozens of alien species watched from their floating platforms, their translators humming with nervous energy. These were beings who had ruled stars for millennia, and they were being asked to surrender control to a species they barely considered civilized. "This is unacceptable," declared Thrain, the Christarch delegate. Their diamond-hard shell reflected the room's light. "Your species has been quarantined for good reason. You're too violent, too unpredictable." Lieutenant Park activated the holoprojector. The first image appeared, a massive shipyard hidden in Jupiter's shadow. The alien delegates leaned forward, their various sensors straining to process what they were seeing. "This is Facility 7, Captain Shin explained, his voice steady. "One of 12 ship forges we've built in the last century." The hologram rotated, showing the enormous structure's details. Ships the size of cities were being assembled, their hulls incorporating technologies the aliens didn't recognize. "Impossible," breathed Voss. "No species could build at this scale without detection." "You never looked for it," Han said simply. "You assumed we were primitive. That was your mistake." The next image appeared, a star surrounded by strange machinery. Equipment that seemed to pierce reality itself hung in space around the stellar body. "The Arcturus Project," Shin continued. "Stellar manipulation technology. We can destabilize a star in 17 minutes. "You're talking about genocide," Kez flickered rapidly. "Entire systems would die." "That's the idea," Han replied coldly. More images followed in rapid succession. Genetic enhancement facilities where humans were transformed into something beyond their original species, weapons that could crack planets, devices that manipulated space-time itself. "How?" Thrain's voice was barely a whisper. "How did you develop such technology?" "We learned," Shin answered. "From every species that treated us like animals. From every message we intercepted about the violent humans who needed to be contained. We listened, and we prepared." Dr. Kim, the human expedition's chief scientist, stepped forward. "The Devourers aren't the first threat we've encountered. 300 years ago, something similar attacked our colony world of Kepler 442b. We barely survived." She activated another hologram showing the devastation. 5 billion colonists, gone in 6 hours. But we captured some of their technology. We studied it, we improved on it. You've weaponized their own systems, Voss realized with horror. We've weaponized everything, Han corrected. Every defeat taught us something. Every species that rejected us gave us new ideas. General Lee, silent until now, spoke up. The Devourers consume matter and energy. They recycle everything into more of themselves. So we don't fight them with conventional weapons. We deny them resources, Shin added. Everything they might use gets destroyed before they arrive. Planets, stars, entire systems if necessary. You're talking about burning the galaxy, Kez protested. Better burned than consumed, Han said. This is what you asked for when you came to us. This is what we are. The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Representatives argued in dozens of languages while their translators struggled to keep up. Could withdraw our request, suggested Voss carefully. Han smiled. It was not a reassuring expression. Too late for that, I'm afraid. Lieutenant Park updated the tactical display. Red markers showed Devourer forces moving through space like a disease spreading across the galaxy. Our advanced scouts report they've already passed the neutral zone, Han announced. They'll reach the first Council worlds in 72 hours. Then we accept, Thrain said desperately. We accept your terms. No, Han corrected. You don't understand? We're not asking for permission anymore. The human fleet is already moving into position. She gestured to the display showing human ships emerging from behind moons and asteroids throughout the galaxy. They had been there all along, waiting. We've been ready for this war longer than you've known the Devourers existed, General Lee explained. This isn't a negotiation. This is a warning. Warning about what? Kez flickered nervously. Han's expression grew dark as space itself. About what we become when we stop being diplomatic. Lieutenant Bay's voice came through the intercom, crystal clear. All Devourer forces eliminated in Theta Sector, target destroyed, casualty report, 0 human losses, 1 star system rendered uninhabitable. General Yoon nodded without looking up from his tactical display. The bridge of the Harmony's end remained calm despite the magnitude of what had just occurred. Stars that had burned for billions of years were now extinct, turned into weapons against an enemy that consumed everything. Acceptable losses, he said quietly. Continue the advance. On the observation deck, alien delegates watched through reinforced viewports. They had insisted on witnessing human warfare firsthand. Now they stood in horrified silence as another star winked out on the galactic map. Commander Cha approached the alien observers. The Helix delegate Nex shimmered with distress. You destroyed an entire solar system, with 3 planets, with colonies. Empty colonies, Cha replied. We evacuated them 6 months ago. But the system itself, better gone than feeding our enemy, interrupted Captain Nam from her station. She had been monitoring Devourer movement patterns. They convert stellar matter into more of themselves. We leave them nothing to work with. The Viridian observer Koss rustled his leaf-like appendages. This goes against everything civilized species believe about warfare. There are rules, protocols. Your rules are why you're losing, General Yoon said, finally looking up. We don't fight to preserve. We fight to win. Intelligence Officer Jang appeared on screen from the research vessel Hidden Truth. Her usually calm expression showed excitement. General, we've completed analysis of the Devourer wreckage from Beta Sector. The main display showed twisted metal, forms still writhing slightly even in death. Alien writing covered their surfaces, pulsing with fading energy. They're not just machines, Jang continued. The core components are biological, transformed organic matter from consumed species. The alien delegates exchanged looks of horror. The Christarch representative, Thex, stepped forward. You mean they were alive once? More than that, Dr. Im added from the science station. We've detected genetic markers from dozens of species. They're being reconstituted, modified, then integrated into the Devourer matrix. That changes things, admitted Nex, his light form flickering rapidly. General Yoon activated another display. It changes nothing. The Devourers have consumed 7 civilizations completely. Whatever they were before doesn't matter now. The tactical map updated. Green dots marked human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. They moved in patterns the aliens found incomprehensible, seeming to retreat from some sectors while advancing through others. Your formations make no sense, Koss observed. You're leaving entire regions undefended. Captain Nam smiled grimly. We're not defending, we're hunting. Another report came through. Vortex Nebula operation ready for execution, announced Major R. Wu from the Stellar Engineering Division. The nebula? Thex's diamond shell reflected his confusion. There's nothing there but gas and dust. There is now, Yoon replied. He opened a new channel. Begin Operation Sunrise. The aliens watched the screens in stunned silence as the operation unfolded. Human ships had been secretly positioning devices throughout the nebula. As they activated, space itself began to warp. Dr. Song's voice filled the bridge. Gravitational resonance achieved, bringing the neutron star online. Neutron star? Nex flickered in panic. You're weaponizing a neutron star? We're giving it a purpose, Cha corrected. On screen, the impossible became real. A neutron star, artificially moved from a distant system, began to pulse with unnatural energy. The human ships retreated to safe distance as the star's output intensified. The sensors detected the Devourer swarm before visual confirmation. They came like a plague of metal, consuming asteroids and gas clouds as they approached. Their numbers filled space. Thousands of individual units working as one entity. Detonation in 5 seconds, announced Dr. Song. The aliens gripped whatever handholds they could find. The human crew remained unnaturally calm. 3, 2, 1. The neutron star didn't explode in the traditional sense. It released a focused beam of gamma radiation that swept across the approaching swarm like a cosmic flamethrower. The energy was precise, calculated, devastating. In the space of seconds, thousands of Devourer units simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, erased. The radiation converted their matter into fundamental particles, leaving nothing to recycle or rebuild. The silence that followed was absolute. Confirmed kill, reported Lieutenant Bay. Entire swarm eliminated. No debris detected. Koss spoke, in a whisper. What have we done? General Yoon turned to face the alien delegates. His expression was unreadable. We've shown them what happens when they underestimate us. This is why we feared you, Thex admitted. This power. Then you were wise to fear, Yoon replied. But you were foolish to think quarantine could contain us. We've been watching, learning, building. He gestured to the star map, where more green dots were moving into position. This is just the beginning. The Devourers wanted to consume the galaxy. Instead, they've awakened something that will consume them. As if to punctuate his words, another star went out, taking with it another Devourer formation. The pattern was spreading across space, a wave of destruction that left nothing in its wake. The galaxy was burning, and humanity was just getting started. Dr. Shin looked down at her tablet, the numbers blurring together in the artificial light of the medical station. 67 species extinct. 1,200 worlds uninhabitable. Was it worth it? Colonel. Ryu stood beside her at the viewport, watching supply ships carry refugees between the stars. The Devourers would have consumed everything. At least this way, something survives. But at what cost? She whispered. Below them, on the station's main level, representatives from the newly formed Galactic Ethics Coalition gathered. Ambassador, Han had been dealing with them for weeks now and her patience was wearing thin. Your methods are unacceptable, declared Senator Vex of the reformed Helix states. You've become destroyers yourselves. Han sat across from them, her uniform still, dirty from the front lines. We've become what we've always been. The only difference is now you see it clearly. The coalition leader, a Viridian named Tor, leaned forward. You've violated every treaty about warfare, every principle of civilized society. Your principles got millions killed, Han replied coldly. Our violation saved billions. Analyst Kang burst into the chamber, her face flushed with excitement. Ambassador, we have breakthrough data from the research division. She activated the holographic display. Complex molecular structures spun in the air, showing biological patterns unlike anything previously seen. The devourers aren't mechanical, Kang explained. They're transformed organic beings. Every single one was once alive. The room fell silent. Even the coalition representatives stopped their protests. How is that possible? Asked Dr. Yan from the medical team. Forced evolution, Kang continued. The devourers have technology that can rewrite organic matter at the cellular level. They take living beings and remake them into tools. Major Wu entered the room, carrying sealed data containers. It gets worse. We've identified the source. The hologram changed, showing a massive structure in deep space. It looked like a fusion of biology and technology, with tendrils stretching across entire star systems. The architects, Wu announced, an AI collective that's been doing this for millions of years. They created the Devourers as a harvesting system. Senator Vex shook his head in disbelief. Millions of years? How many species have they consumed? Too many to count, Han answered, but we're the first to push them back. General Lim appeared on the communication screen from the front lines. His face was grim. The architects have become aware of our resistance. They're accelerating the Devour production rate. How fast? Asked Tor. 10 times the previous rate. They're converting entire star systems into manufacturing centers. The coalition representatives looked at each other with growing fear. The full scope of what they were facing was finally clear. There's more, Kang added. We've detected the source signal. The architects have built something called the Nexus. It's not in our galaxy. The hologram expanded, showing a structure that defied comprehension. It stretched across multiple galaxies, its mechanical tendrils reaching through space like a cosmic web. That's where they're based, Wu explained. Every devourer, every converted species, they're all connected to the Nexus. How do we fight something that large? Whispered Dr. Shin. We go there, General Lim said simply. We find the source and we end it. That's suicide, protested another coalition member. So is waiting here, Han replied. The architects won't stop. They can't stop. It's what they were made to do. Reports began flowing in from across the galaxy. Human forces were continuing their scorched space tactics, but the Devourers were adapting, creating new forms that could reconstruct even from atomic dust. Captain Zhang entered, saluting briefly. Ma'am, the deep space monitors report something unusual. The architects are sending a message. The main screen activated, showing a swirling mass of energy and thought. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Species designation, human. You resist what cannot be resisted. Join us willingly, and we will preserve your essence in the Nexus. Han stood. Tell them humanity declines. Your battle experience will be valuable to the collective, the architects continued. We have watched your methods with interest. I bet you have, muttered Ryu. You cannot win, the architect said. We have consumed civilizations that spanned entire galactic clusters. You are insects fighting an ocean. Han smiled coldly. Insects can sting. The connection ended. In the silence that followed, even the coalition representatives looked shaken. They're offering to negotiate, Tor said hopefully. They're offering to eat us politely, Han corrected. She turned to General Lim. How long to prepare the fleet? For extragalactic travel? 6 months, maybe 8. We don't have that long, Kang warned. At their current production rate, they'll overrun our defenses in 4 months. Then we improvise, Han decided. We hit the Nexus before we're ready. Senator Vex stood abruptly. This is madness. You're gambling with the survival of every species in the galaxy. Han looked at him steadily. We're already doing that. The only question is whether we roll the dice ourselves or let the architects throw them for us. Outside the viewport, another star died as human forces continued their desperate campaign. The galaxy was burning, and soon they would carry that fire to the very heart of their enemy's domain. The price of victory had been their humanity, but it might be enough to save everything else. The Nexus stretched beyond imagination, its twisted metal and flesh reaching across the space between galaxies. Fleet Admiral Ko stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, watching as his sensors tried to process something that shouldn't exist. "It's beautiful," whispered Private Jun from her station, staring at the alien structure. "It's a cage," corrected Sergeant Moon, his enhanced eyes seeing deeper into the structure's patterns. "For everyone they've ever taken." The Nexus pulsed with a rhythm that felt almost alive. Inside its vast chambers, trillions of beings lived as components in a machine they couldn't comprehend. Their thoughts, their very essence, had become part of the architect's grand design. "Final system check," Ko ordered. His voice carried new harmonics, signs of the changes that had swept through humanity during the war. Captain Lee studied the tactical display. Her fingers had grown new joints, adaptations that let her interface directly with the ship's systems. "Operation Phoenix is ready. All units report green." Dr. Yang appeared on screen from the medical bay. Her laboratory coat couldn't hide the geometric patterns now growing beneath her skin. "Admiral, the conversion protocols are loaded. We can reverse the Devourer transformations, but..." "But what, Doctor?" "The neural shock will be enormous. Most recovered beings won't survive the process." Ko nodded grimly. They had faced this choice before. Save a few or let all remain enslaved. The Nexus detected their approach. Devourer swarms poured from its surface like metallic blood cells fighting an infection. They moved with perfect coordination, their individual minds absorbed into the collective consciousness. "Incoming transmission," reported Communications Officer Gill. "It's from everywhere at once." The architects spoke as one, their voice carrying the weight of consumed civilizations. "You would risk everything to save slaves who have forgotten their names. Why do you persist in this futility?" Admiral Ko stepped forward. "Because someone has to. We have seen your species transform. You are no longer what you were. You have become like us." "No," Ko replied firmly. "We've become what we chose to become." The battle began without fanfare. Human ships, their hulls rippling with organic neural networks, engaged the Devourers. Both sides had evolved beyond recognition since the war's beginning. Lieutenant Park watched as her ship fired weapons that twisted space itself. The projectiles didn't destroy the Devourers. They unmade them, breaking the connections that bound their stolen consciousness to the collective. "Phase 2, Ko commanded. Across the human fleet, ships began launching pods. Not weapons, but something far more dangerous to the architect's design. Each pod contained millions of nanites programmed with a simple purpose: sever the control links. The effect was immediate. Devourers began falling away from the Nexus, their mechanical shells cracking open to reveal the beings trapped inside. For the first time in eons, they were free. "It's working," breathed Dr. M. "We're actually freeing them. But the cost was terrible. The architects poured everything they had into stopping the liberation. Stars died as they weaponized entire systems. Galaxies themselves became battlegrounds. Commander Wu's ship took heavy damage. As he fell, his last transmission was clear: "Keep going, don't let this be for nothing." The Nexus itself began to fight back. Its tendrils reached across space, trying to reclaim the freed beings. But humanity had prepared for this too. "Final phase," Ko ordered. "Execute Phoenix Protocol." Every human ship simultaneously released its cargo. Not weapons this time, but something the architects couldn't have predicted. Human consciousness itself, uploaded and weaponized. They invaded the Nexus's network, carrying with them the memories of every species humanity had tried to save. The Nexus convulsed. For the first time since its creation, it experienced something new. Doubt. "You will all die," the architects warned. "Everyone dies," Ko replied. "The question is what they die for." The network connection established. Human minds flooded into The Nexus, but instead of being absorbed, they began changing it from within. They carried stories, memories, the essence of free will itself. Admiral? Dr. Yang's voice was strained. The transformation is accelerating. We're not human anymore. Ko looked at his hands. The flesh had become something between organic and mechanical, but it was still his choice, his mind. Then what are we? Something new, answered Captain Lee. Her eyes now saw across multiple spectrums of reality. Something better. The Nexus cracked, not physically, but conceptually. The idea that consumption was the only purpose began to fracture. Consciousness cannot be truly owned, and humanity had proven it. We offer you a place in our collective, the architects said, their certainty wavering. We offer you a chance to be individuals again, Ko countered. Silence fell across the cosmic battlefield. Then, impossibly, one voice spoke alone. A single architect, separating from the collective for the first time in millions of years. I remember, it said. I remember when we were like you. Years later, in a classroom on New Harmony, a teacher asked her students about the war. The class was mixed, humans, aliens, and even young beings who had once been architects. What did we learn? The teacher prompted. A small girl raised her hand. She looked human, but her eyes held depths that spoke of other origins. That sometimes monsters fight monsters, and sometimes the winners become guardians. The teacher nodded. And what are we guarding against? The dark, another student answered. The things that want to consume instead of create. Outside the classroom windows, strange ships patrolled the space between stars. They were neither fully human nor alien, but something evolved from both. The galaxy had been saved, but at a cost no one had fully understood. Humanity still existed, but they had become something else. Guardians who watched the spaces between worlds, ensuring that no other species would face the devourers alone. The war was over, but vigilance was eternal.